Okay, so this week's portion is Emor, and I want us to start on page 731 in the Eitz Chaim, chapter 24 of Leviticus, what is designated as the start of the seventh Aliyah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shekidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. So the portion, by the way, I just want to point out today is our last class of the academic year, last session of Torah study. Next week, I will be in Rhode Island visiting for 2 days, Monday through Wednesday, my children and grandchildren. So won't be able to teach class then. And then the following week is after Memorial Day. So Labor Day to Memorial Day is our schedule. And so we'll pick up again next September. Chapter 24 of Leviticus comes after a very familiar section to us, chapter 23, which is the list of holidays celebrated throughout the year. And before that, a whole list of behaviors or regulations that the Kohanim have to follow about who they can marry, about who can serve, that is the physical characteristics that are required, or actually in the negative, the physical characteristics that disqualify Kohanim from serving offering the sacrifices, doing the service. So we have all of that related to Kohanim. Then we change gears and talk about the holidays. And then we have this in chapter 24. So I want to start the chapter, and really the focus that I want to have is what we'll see on page 732. So we're on 731, start of chapter 24. Vayedaber Adonai el Moshe Emor. God spoke to Moses, saying, Tzav et b'nei Yisrael, v'yikchu elecha shemen zayit zach, katit lama'or, laha'alot ner tamid. Command the people of Israel that they bring for you pure or clear olive oil, clear oil of beaten olives for lighting, in order to kindle the Ner Tamid. So I didn't translate Ner Tamid. It says here, for kindling lamps regularly. But the idea really is about the Ner Tamid itself, the eternal light, where every synagogue has a representation of this Ner Tamid. We're on the start of chapter 24, verse 2 on page 731 in the Eitz Chaim. This Ner Tamid is an eternal candle. So the English translation for kindling lamps regularly might be a way to translate this. I think what we're supposed to understand from this is that this is the regulations for how to keep that one fire or one candle burning continuously in the Mishkan, later in the temple in Jerusalem, and now in synagogues around the world. 3. Michutz la parochet ha'edut be'ohel moed ya'aroch oto Aharon me'erev ad boker lifnei Adonai tamid chukat olam ledorotechem. So it should be, where should this candle or light be? So I translate it as candle. A ner is kind of like a lantern or a flashlight or some kind of light. So it doesn't have to be a candle. It could be any of those examples. It could be an oil candle. It could be anything like that. Outside of the curtain of the testimony, the curtain of the pact in the tent of meeting, Aaron should set it up. That is, where should this Ner Tamid be? Outside the curtain, that is in the Ohel Moed, and it should be lit from the evening until the morning before God, always. It should be an eternal law for all time, or throughout the ages, right? So now, this is why we have a Ner Tamid in a synagogue, because it says Chukat Olam L'Dorotechem. So it should be an eternal, an everlasting law. So even though it seems here in the Torah that there is a specific space for it, a specific place in the Mishkan and later the temple in Jerusalem, and since we don't have the temple in Jerusalem anymore, one could argue that we shouldn't have a Ner Tamid anymore, or we don't need to have one, but the rabbis decided, well, let's keep, since a synagogue is supposed to be like a substitute for the temple, so let's have this Ner Tamid be the substitute also. So there are synagogues around the world that actually use a flame for the Ner Tamid, that they will have, and it's kind of dangerous to do so, but they do it, either having natural gas be the flame, kind of like a pilot light that would be continually burning above the ark in the synagogue, or it could be a Shiva candle. If we're familiar with that, God forbid, that you, when in mourning, you get this, what looks like a yahrzeit candle, but it's more than that because it's tall and it's a candle that lasts 7 days. So there are some synagogues that actually use that and replace it every week. But most synagogues, like ours, have a light bulb. I know there are some synagogues that try to power the Ner Tamid through solar energy to kind of make it environmentally friendly and teach a broader lesson about that Ner Tamid. Okay. 4. Al ha-menorah ha-tehorah ya'aroch et ha-nerot lifnei Adonai tamid. So he shall set the lamps on the pure lampstand before God always. I translate it as always. So now this Ner Tamid could be part of a menorah, the 7-branch menorah that stays lit. So it's unclear. Is it one candle? Is it the 7-branch menorah that stays lit? Whatever it is, it stays lit from evening until morning. So all night. This we have the Aaron and his descendants, the Kohanim, have to make sure that this menorah, this Ner, stays lit. Okay, now on to verse 5. V'lakachta solet ve'afita ota 12 chalot, shnei esronim yiheh hachala ha'echat. So you should take choice flour and bake out of it 12 loaves, 12 challah loaves, that each challah should have 2/10 of a measure. We don't know what the 2/10 of the measure is, but so it's 24/10, right? 2/10 times 12. 12 challahs are supposed to be baked. Verse 6, V'samta otam shtayim ma'arachot, shesh hama'arechet al hashulchan hatahor lifnei Adonai. And you should put them set up 12, 2 rows of 6 on the pure table before God. So make 2 rows of challahs, 6 each, on this pure table before God. 7, v'natata al ha'ma'arechet levona zakah, v'hayeta lalechem la'azkara ishe la'adonai. So, for each row, you should have pure frankincense placed there, and it should be a token offering for the bread as a gift to God. Okay, so 12 loaves on a table with frankincense as a gift to God. Biyom HaShabbat, Ya'archenu lifnei Adonai tamid, me'et b'nei Yisrael brit olam. So Biyom HaShabbat is repeated. So on Shabbat, which means be sure that this is done every Shabbat, that it should be placed before God always from the people of Israel as an eternal covenant. So the 12 loaves representing the 12 tribes of Israel, an offering of loaves of bread and frankincense before God. V'hayeta la'aharon ulavanav va'achaluhu b'makom kadosh ki kodesh kodashim hu lo me'ishe Adonai chok olam. And Aaron and his sons can eat from it in a holy place, because it is a holy of holies for God's gift, for an eternal law. Okay, so these 12 loaves are supposed to feed Aaron and his sons. So when it's just Aaron and his sons, so it's Aaron and his 2 sons at this point, because remember 2 other sons died earlier in the book of Leviticus. So Aaron and his 2 sons, for the 3 of them, 12 loaves is a lot. But if it's 12 loaves that's supposed to last for the week, then 12 loaves isn't a lot. But then, if there are more Kohanim, then I think the 12 loaves become symbolic, and it represents the idea that this is an ongoing weekly reminder that the people of Israel are dedicated to the temple service, and whether they are actually physically bringing a sacrifice or not, these 12 loaves are baked to represent the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, so chapter 24 so far is the commandment to have an eternal light lit, a ner tamid lit all the time. We'll have a reminder of this in the book of Numbers, and the commandment about 12 loaves of bread. Then, this is what I wanted to get to today, is what we see on page 732. So, verse 10. So we continue. There is a break in the text. You see the letter Samach there floating on the bottom of 731 at the end of the Hebrew. It says Chok Olam. You have a colon there to mark the end of the verse. And then you have just a plain letter Samach there. That's to tell us that in the Torah scroll itself, there's a break. Okay? So there's a break in the scroll, which leads us to think that we have a new topic coming. But so it's verse 10 now. Vayetze ben isha Yisraelit vehu ben ish Mitzri betoch b'nei Yisrael vayinatzu ban machaneh ben hayisraelit veish hayisraeli. Okay? Law about the ner tamid, law about the 12 challahs, and now this. A son of an Israelite woman, parentheses, and he's a son of an Egyptian man, went out in the midst of the people of Israel, and they fought in the camp. Who are they? The son of the Israelite and the son of the Israelite woman, Yisraelit, the son of the Israelite woman, and an Israelite man. So let me just read one more verse. Vayikov ben ha'isha ha'Yisraelit et Hashem vayekalel vayaviu oto el Moshe v'shem imo Shlomit bat Divri lamate dan. So the son of the Israelite woman, or we could say this man who is a son of an Israelite woman, cursed the name. So the name is capitalized. So cursing the name, or in English here, pronounce the name in blasphemy. That is, he took God's name in vain, or cursed God's name. We're not sure exactly. And they brought him, who they are, we don't know, to Moses. And his mother's name is Shlomit, daughter of Divri, of the tribe of Dan. 12, Vayanichuhu bamishmar, lifrosh lahem al pi Adonai. And he was placed, and they placed him in custody, or in guarding. They placed him in custody until it could be figured out for them by word of God, or by the mouth of God. That is, until God would explain to them what to do with him. So they kept him under guard until God could explain what to do with him. So this section is interesting because it's ambiguous. What's it doing here? What does it have to do with the Ner Tamid and the 12 loaves? Granted, like I said, in the scroll of the Torah, there's a break. But still, what does this have to do? And it's starting in the middle of the story. And a son of an Israelite woman went out. Okay, so what did he go out from? What was he doing in the meantime? What was he doing before? What were they fighting about? And were they fighting about the fact that he cursed God's name? Or in the process of the fighting, did he curse God's name? Who is the son? Who is the Israelite man? Who is this son of an Israelite woman? We only know the woman's name. We only know his mother's name. We don't know his name. So why are these two men not identified? Why is the mother identified? What's it doing here? Like if it's a random story about what to do with someone who curses God's name, why is it here? Why isn't it in a section that has the law about cursing God's name? So these are questions that we have. So I want to share with you what Rashi has to say about this. And just to give you, to show by sharing this, the method of the rabbis in how to make sense of something that kind of is appearing in the text, that seems to be appearing in the text randomly. Okay, so Rashi says on this, there came out among the Israelites one whose mother was Israelite, right? So he's commenting on the first phrase of verse 10. It says, from where did he come out? Right, so that's the first question. Where is he coming from? So he quotes, as Rashi often does, he quotes Midrash. So he says, Rabbi Levi says, he came out of the place allocated to him in the world to come for all time. Meaning, the word vayetze relates to, according to this midrash by Rabbi Levi, that the Vayetze refers to his potential place in the world to come. So this assumes that we all have a place in the world to come, but there could be some things that certain behaviors that we do that could prevent us from entering the world to come. Okay, so the world to come is a rabbinic idea. The Torah doesn't talk about the world to come. The rabbis do. The rabbis create a theology that helps us understand the role of mitzvah in our lives and the role that our free will has related to these mitzvot. So for the rabbis, if we observe the mitzvot, then willingly, then we will be rewarded. Now, we may not be rewarded in our lifetime because bad things do happen to good people, but we will definitely be rewarded in the world to come. So there is a future reward, even if our lives today are filled with suffering, if we do good, and for the rabbis, even if we repent of our sins on the day of our death, then our soul will achieve or can merit a place in the world to come with God. Okay? So the rabbis are suggesting that Rashi is bringing this midrash from Rabbi Levi, that if one curses God's name, commits an act of blasphemy, then that takes one out of the world to come. So for Rabbi Levi, as quoted by Rashi, where is he coming from? Vayetze ben Isha Yisraelit. He's coming from his potential reward in the world to come. He has just prohibited himself or prevented himself the possibility of entering the world to come. But there's another midrash on this. Rabbi Berechia says he came out. So where's the Vayetze? Where's he coming out? What does that mean? He came out of the preceding passage, making fun of it. In other words, Rabbi Berechia connects verse 10 to the section that came before about the 12 loaves. So according to Rabbi Berechia, this is what this son of an Israelite woman, an Egyptian man, was coming out from. He was making fun of the preceding passage. He said, so according to this midrash, what can it mean by saying he shall arrange them before the Lord regularly every Sabbath day? Like, what does this mean? You're setting up 12 loaves before God every Shabbat. Does a king eat fresh, warm bread every day? Or does he prefer cold bread that's 9 days old? In other words, the guy, according to this midrash, this guy is making fun of the fact that we're keeping 12 loaves of bread there from 1 week to the other. Why would we want to leave bread to get stale if it's meant as a gift to God? A king eats fresh bread every day. That is a human king. Why would the King of Kings, God, prefer old bread? So that's what this guy, according to Rabbi Berechia, is arguing. And that's what he's coming out from. And so it reminds us also from later in the Torah, in the book of Numbers, what the rabbis said about Korach. Why did Korach rebel against his cousin Moses and his leadership? Well, Korach also was making fun of what happened of laws that Moses was teaching. And for the rabbis in their midrash, right before the portion Korach begins, at the end of the previous portion is the law about having a blue thread tied in fringes on the corners of our garments. And for the rabbis, that's what Korach was arguing. What happens if you have all blue threads? Would that be okay? Or do you still need a blue thread to go with the other blue threads? Like, they make Korach ask questions that seem to be ridiculous, what you would say in Yiddish as klutzkashyas, these ridiculous questions that make fun of the system itself, as opposed to being respectful. So here, there's the Rabbi Berechia and the Midrash is suggesting that this son of an Israelite woman and Egyptian man is making fun of the law that came before. But there's another Midrash. Another rabbinic tradition says he came out of Moses' court having lost his case. So Vayetze means he left Moses' court. And what did he go to court over? The Midrash says he had gone to pitch his tent in the camp of the tribe of Dan, right? We're told that his mother was of the tribe of Dan in verse 11, right? So apparently, according to the rabbis in this Midrash, he's an Egyptian, he's son of an Egyptian man, but a woman from the tribe of Dan. So he went to pitch his tent among the tribe of Dan. But they, the people of Dan, said to him, "What business do you have here?" So, in other words, you don't belong to us. He replied, "My mother is from the tribe of Dan." "Well, I think I belong to you because my mother is you. So I'm her son, I belong to you." They retorted, "It says the Israelites shall camp each with his standard under the banners of their father's house," quoting chapter 2 of Numbers, verse 2, right? You belong to the tribe based on your father. That is, your father determines what tribe you belong to, which is true for Jews today. People are Kohanim based on a Kohen or a Levi. That's really the only tribe, or Israelite. Jews today are either of the tribe of Judah, which makes us plain Israelites, or the tribe of Levi, either Levi or the subset Kohen. So we only have a choice of two tribes to be part of. We can only be born into the tribe of Levi. We can't convert into the tribe of Levi. If one converts to Judaism, one becomes a regular Israelite, and that means becoming part of the tribe of Judah. Okay? So, boys and girls who are born, their father determines if they are a Kohen or Levi or an Israelite. Their mother determines whether they're Jewish. Okay? Father determines tribal status, mother determines Jewish. Okay? So, the tribe of Dan says to this guy, the son of the Egyptian man, but the Danite woman, said, "No, you don't belong to us because your father's Egyptian, not of the tribe of Dan." So this anonymous man took the case to Moses, and he lost. He came forth, that is, he came out of losing, and then he blasphemed against God. But coming out among the Israelites means that he converted to Judaism. So that's the last thing. That's Rashi. That's the last statement, and that's not Midrash. That's Rashi adding his point. So he says, the Vayetze, the third opinion, is that he comes out of this court. Either he's coming out of the world to come, that's Rabbi Levi, or according to Berechia, he was making fun of the law that came before, or according to the rabbis, that he came out of Moses' court having lost the case of being able to be considered part of the tribe of Dan. And all of those things then caused him to curse God's name. And that explains then, fills in the gaps in the story of where the cursing is coming from. And Rashi adds a fourth choice that the Vayetze refers to he converted to Judaism. Now, there's one more thing that adds to the mix of explaining the story. It says he's the son of an Israelite woman and an Egyptian man. So that Rashi suggests that and whose father was Egyptian, who was the Egyptian? Yes?
Therapy, but you're doing a sprinkler thing.
Oh.
We're doing till noon.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna see if they can do it with a silent alarm.
Okay.
You may get
Okay, fine. Okay.
Ignore it, of course. Apologies.
Okay. So it was just being warned that we could hear sirens going off because the sprinkler system is being tested. Okay. So his father was an Egyptian. So the question is, who's this Egyptian? Rabbis don't like to have anonymous people in stories in the Torah. So the Egyptian was the Egyptian that Moses had killed in Egypt. Remember the story where we're introduced to Moses, right? Moses is born, and his parents put him into a basket, and his sister Miriam follows along, and he gets adopted by the daughter of Pharaoh. The next thing we know, right? Oh, and Pharaoh's daughter names him Moses. The next thing we know that happens in the story is that he's grown, and he goes out among the people, and he kills an Egyptian for an Egyptian taskmaster, because the Egyptian taskmaster is mercilessly beating a Hebrew slave. So for the rabbis then, that Egyptian taskmaster becomes none other than the father of this man who curses God. So now Nachmanides, I just want to read this lengthier comment from Nachmanides to kind of that brings it all together with him being either a convert, right? Or he's that this Egyptian is the Egyptian taskmaster that Moses had killed. This is what Nachmanides has to say about this. So Rashi brings comments from the Midrash. So that's from around the 500s, something like that, and Rashi is 1,000. Nachmanides is about 200, 300 years after Rashi's time, and Nachmanides lives in a town north of Barcelona in northern Spain. And Rashi is living in essentially the Alsace-Lorraine region of France, Germany. Okay? So between that half-Israelite and a certain Israelite. The Hebrew does not call him a half-Israelite, but the son of the Israelite woman. The whole point of the expression is to teach that if a Gentile man has sex with a Jewish woman, the child is not Jewish. Now, that's not Jewish law. The Jewish woman determines the religion of the child, even though we have the exact opposite ruling in the Talmud, to the extent that it does not even matter if the Jewish woman was single or married. The sages did say that this contaminates the child, for it is blemished with regard to the priesthood. So if the Jewish woman happens to be a bat Kohen, a daughter of a priest, who lies with a Gentile, it affects their status as a Kohen, because a Kohen is not supposed to marry a Gentile woman, and it's not supposed to marry a convert. So a Kohen is supposed to remain totally pure within the Israelite community and only consider marrying an Israelite. And even more importantly, does not have Jewish ancestry with regard to the tribes, right? So the status of the father, the biological father of this child, if he's not an Israelite, then that affects one's status, the child's status regarding tribes, or to the division of land of Israel among them, right? How does such a child inherit land in the land of Israel? for the allotment of the land was to be made according to the listings of the tribes of their fathers. Right? So so Nachmanides is adding further idea about the impact of this, the impact of the laws of the Torah on this particular person that's being mentioned here in this story. The story in the Sifra, which is the Midrash on the book of Leviticus, that the man had converted to Judaism, enabling him to come out among the Israelites, is not because he needed to convert. Like all the other Israelites, he had entered the covenant through circumcision, ritual immersion, and being dashed with sacrificial blood at the time of giving the Torah. What they meant was that he took after his mother and identified with Israel. So in other words, he was already part of the Israelite people. He didn't really formally need to convert because he had already done all the ritual aspects and had already been part of the community at Mount Sinai. But he wanted to identify with his mother to be with Israel. That's the meaning of his coming out among the Israelites. He was with them. He did not wish to follow after his father and be an Egyptian. Right? So we have to remember that we know that a whole mixed multitude came out with the people of Israel when they left Egypt, and they were among the community that was marching through the desert. So here's this guy who's from that community who was affected, according to Nachmanides, in a positive way by all these laws and experience at Mount Sinai. And so he wanted to stay with his mother's people, that is the tribe of Dan and the people of Israel. He did not want to stay with his father's people, the Egyptians. Okay? He goes on, Nachmanides, the French commentators, that is Rashi and others, say that because he was born before the giving of the Torah, he should have been an Egyptian like his father, since for nations that do not follow the Torah law, the rules of patrilineal descent apply. So he had not been circumcised. But when he grew up, he voluntarily converted and was circumcised. My opinion, however, is otherwise. From the moment Abraham entered the covenant, he was considered a Jew and not reckoned among the nations. Okay, so he should be considered a regular Israelite. So it's just interesting who this person is, how he's regarded among the Midrash, and according to Nachmanides, he should be regarded in a positive way, that he wanted to be part of the people of Israel, but we don't know why he cursed. And that's what the Midrash is trying to say. Was he cursing because he realized that the laws of the Torah could be seen as ridiculous, like these 12 loaves, why do they stay out for a week? Or that he was maybe resented the fact that he couldn't be considered officially part of the tribe of Dan? Whatever it is, we're left not clearly understanding or fully understanding the details of this story and who this person is. But we're left also with understanding the system that the rabbis employ to try to figure things out from the Torah. So they look at what came before, and maybe that's a hint to who this person is or what he's coming from. They look to the idea that he's the son of an Egyptian. What other Egyptian do we know who's just like an anonymous Egyptian? But that was the Egyptian taskmaster back earlier in Exodus. So it's just interesting how the rabbis try to connect the dots and add more details to the story. So I wanted to talk about that today and just bring that up for our discussion. Just this unusual section which we might normally gloss over in Emor is filled with just interesting ideas. So we'll stop here for today, And I hope everybody has a good rest of the day. And in Torah study class, we'll see you again come September. So take care, everybody, and be well.